For the last 3 years, we've been bringing the energy and the message of Fela Kuti's revolution to America. And I am extremely proud to be here with you all today to give you a little insight about what we've been doing, why this show is so important, and what it is that you can take back to your family and to your friends. So I began with Bill about 3.5 years ago on the very first workshop of what is now Fela the Musical. And Bill and our co-book writer, Jim Lewis, had this idea of taking an audience and bringing them into the Shrine, which was Fela's nightclub in Lagos, Nigeria, and actually immersing them into his world, into his politic, into his music, so that you could see it, you could smell it, you could hear it, you could feel it. And it's been quite a challenge to take that initial vision and bring it into a Broadway theater. We started down at graciously hosted by Alvin Ailey Dance Company. We went into 2 of their studios, and we didn't have a script. We didn't have any movement. We had Fela's whole catalog of music, and we had a couple ideas. And we got together for 2 weeks at a time. And Bill would take music, and we had the amazing band Antibalas, who's based in Brooklyn, who I believe is the premier Afrobeat band in the nation. They were on with us, and each day we would just take a song. We'd say, well, what was Fela really trying to get at with this song? I remember we started with Trouble Sleep, which is now Fumalayo's signature number in the show. And in Trouble Sleep, Fela is going to the heart, to the root of what are some of the problems, what are some of the atrocities that he and his family, his friends, his nation was feeling in Nigeria in the early 70s. This oppressive regime, lack of food and resources, lack of electricity, lack of a shared common goal or spirit or religion. And so Bill had this idea that we would build, somehow we would rebuild the world or build the vision of the world that Fela was attempting to communicate through his music. And along the process, we found that those words, that vision, was something that he discovered from his family. You know, Fela was born into a family of political revolutionaries and religious revolutionaries. You know, his mother, Fumalayo, led the women's movement in Africa. You know, she went to China. She was a friend of Chairman Mao's. She taught him to be a strong man. And this is her coming out of a history of very strong leaders. So to me, it makes it's no great leap to think that this person who had a really keen sense of musical identity would find the political and marry that with his art. So that was where we all began. And then last year we had the great benefit of bringing our project to the off-Broadway stage. And we knew it was a huge risk. I mean, who does a musical about an African artist? Someone who talks out, who speaks out of turn, who is not happy-go-lucky, who is not someone that we can, I don't know, I use Barack Obama as the other side of the coin. You know, Barack is someone who we can all look to and put a great sense of spirit and stature to. With Fela, he was less interested in being that image and being that person, and more interested in calling out what was wrong. And so we thought hard and long about that and decided we didn't want to erase any of that in our show. And we took it off Broadway, not knowing how it would be received, and luckily it was a sold-out run. And we had the great problem of bringing it to Broadway. And luckily for us, there's been an outpouring of support, and we've had extremely successful 2 months. As you've seen, we've had these amazing producers come on board. Will and Jada Pinkett Smith and Jay-Z have given amazing support, and we're extremely thrilled. That's all I'll say. Yeah. So to open up to questions, anyone about maybe what you saw about Fela's life, how we got into this process, or what does an associate director do, any of that? Yes, in the back.
Hi. There's a possibility that it will go in other places like in Florida. I'd love to see it there.
I'd love to see it in Florida too. I'd like to see it in Atlanta and Chicago and LA and Paris and Tokyo. So the question was, is there a chance that it will tour? As with any Broadway production, that is possible, but that's only possible if it continues to do well here, this production. If we make it several more months and we continue to have a really large following, yes, there are people who are interested in this, and that is quite amazing. Not only in the U.S., I think the world is ready for this. Yes?
Could you expound on the creative process with the lighting designer and the set designer? Because they really work well together on Broadway. Especially, I don't want to give away too much, people who haven't been here, but the photo of his mother and how that came to life. And even when I was sitting down before the show started, which there was no start point, but it just started, there was it seemed like there was a roaming spotlight that was slowly going around, and it always gave you a sense of not really being settled, or it placed you somewhere. So I was wondering what that creative process was about.
Well, I think, and I think it's important to note that it was a real collaboration between lighting, set, and projection. There's 14 channels of video in this production. At the very beginning, we decided, like I said, that we wanted to immerse people into this world. And so, like you said, as soon as you walk into the theater, it's already hot. The lights are on, they're moving around, the music's cooking, the band comes out after a couple minutes, they start playing, dancers just start to seize out and start dancing. But it was really about this sense of how do we wrap this world around folks. So because usually when you walk into a Broadway theater, you come in, you see your seats, you get in your seats, it's a little dim where you are, and then there's another world up there on the stage in front of you. And so the very first idea we had was, how do we get that momentum out into the audience? And we started with a runway right in the center of the theater, so that anyone could just come right out flying into the audience. And well, that would cost too much money because those are the prime seats. So we moved the runway over a little bit, we shortened it a bit, but we wrapped the actual scenic design around and into the boxes. And actually, if you sit in the mezzanine, you'll see that it comes into the mezzanine. And so that the cast can actually walk into the orchestra level, they can walk into the mezzanine level, and there are several occurrences in the show where that happens, so that you're actually pulled into the action of the play. And so, of course, as soon as we made that scenic decision, lights and video said, oh, we've got to acknowledge it. And from a lighting standpoint, it was really how do we, when we looked at the research of what the shrine was, I mean, there's a real heat and warmth to the light there, and we wanted to bathe the audience into that. Even though it's the middle of January in New York and you're wearing your coat, you want to come in and feel like it's the middle of summer in Lagos. That's where we are. Back here.
Speaking of atmosphere, how was transferring the play from off-Broadway to Broadway? How did the audience react to the actors and dancers and musicians react?
Let's start with actors. For the actors, it was it was quite a challenge, because at 37 Arts we had a very intimate playing space. It was only 300 seats, and we took that and moved to a 1,000-seat house. And one of our main goals in this piece is to make you feel like Fela is right there in front of you, that you can hear him, you can touch him, you can feel him. And there's this temptation when you move to Broadway to make everything big, to make it show business, to turn it up and get the hands out and just have large gestures. But we didn't want to go there. We wanted it to stay this really crude experience. And so there was a lot of noting and a lot of work to keep the show small and to actually use light in order to focus moments and to use video to amplify moments instead of amplifying the performances. And for us, that also meant not creating any huge stage tricks. There's a lot of excitement, there's a lot of surprise in it, but there isn't your typical, like revolving set or, things flying down from the ceiling. And then the audience. I think that actually, in a surprising way, the audience has been willing to go with us no matter where we've been doing this.